You are listening to the Fit in Real Life podcast, episode 416. And I'm just kind of laughing to myself here because I felt like just recently I recorded a ton of podcasts and I told myself, you are so far ahead. You won't have to record podcasts for so many more weeks. And here we are. It's time to record podcasts again. I know I'm not the only one that it feels like time just goes by so darn fast. And speaking of time and how fast time's going to go by, I have the dates for our second Welcome Home retreat. So this October, just about 2 weeks ago, as I record this podcast, we had our first Welcome Home retreat. I rented a beautiful home on Bowen Island, which is just off of Vancouver, British Columbia, about a 20 or 30-minute ferry ride. We spent 3 nights, 4 days together. It was glorious. I am so excited and so appreciative. I'm trying to think of all the words right now of how well it went. And I have booked our next retreat, which will be October 6th to 9th. It's a Monday to Thursday, 2025. It's going to be here in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia. So we are about an hour and a half east of Vancouver. I always need to describe our location in relation to Vancouver, British Columbia. I have booked a beautiful place and yeah, I'm super excited to do it all over again. I will have registration open shortly. Okay, I was listening to my last podcast or 2 podcasts ago when I shared some of my takeaways from therapy, and maybe I was nervous. I probably was nervous. And when I'm nervous, I speak even faster than normal, but I was speaking so fast. So I am reminding myself today to slow down so you can actually hear what I have to say. It feels very artificial, very foreign, very kind of clunky when I slow down. But when I listen to myself speak, I know what I'm saying. But if you don't know what I'm saying, it's really hard to listen to me and understand what I'm saying. So my goal here is to slow down with this. Today, I want to share with you some tips on how to get the most out of your strength workout. So, strength training, so shocker here, is something that I do recommend that we do, unless there's a really, really good reason not to. A few episodes ago, I did a podcast on how to build a strength workout. I've also put together a freebie, report, whatever you want to call it, on how I put together my strength workouts. You can go to tanyashaw.com/steal my workout, and I share with you exactly what I am doing right now and how I put together my workouts. So go ahead and listen to that podcast if you have not yet. But today I want to share with you some tips on how to get the most out of your strength workout. All right, strength training is important, for longevity, for functional fitness, for overall health, for your immune function, for blood sugar regulation, to be able to go do things like, pick up your groceries, get up and down off the floor, walk up and down stairs. Strength training is really, really important. And I love that we are now putting more emphasis on strength training. It used to be all cardio and, lifting little weights, but don't get too bulky. But now we're recognizing how important it is to lift heavy things with good form and then put it down again and then pick it up and then put it down again and then pick it up and put it down again. Isn't it kind of crazy that we do this? But really, unless you're out chopping wood and lifting really heavy things in the yard, which I'm not, I think it's important that we challenge our muscles and we are intentional with building strength and not just for how we look. So in my 20s, 30s, I was really focused on strength training because of how it made me look. And I'm not going to lie, I still strength train because how it makes me look. But I also strength train because how it makes me feel and because I want to live a long life and a healthy life. And I want to be able to go do things. And I want to be able to go play on the mountains with my snowboard. And I want to be able to go hike and do things without injuring myself. So strength training is, yes, for aesthetics as well. I really do like how my body looks with muscle definition. I also love how my body feels and what my body can do when I'm strong. So let's dive into, I have 8 tips to help you get the most out of your strength routine. Number 1 is to warm up properly, to activate your muscles, to improve your range of motion, to get your body ready for the strength routine. So, what often happens, and right now this is happening quite frequently at Ascend, my personal training studio here in Chilliwack, and something we're going to be addressing and educating on and putting more of a focus on is our proper warm ups. Is sometimes you just walk in the door and so you start your strength training routine. Or maybe you walk in the door and then you get on the treadmill and you walk for 5, 10, 15 minutes, or you do some cardio, and then you start your strength training routine. It is fine to do a bit of cardio first. It is fine to do a little bit of walking to get your body warmed up, but you also want to do things that prime your body for the movements you're going to do. So for me personally, this looks like I shared actually in that freebie. If you go to tanyashaw.com/steal my workout, I do standing roll downs to really stretch out my hamstrings and lower back. I do hip flexor stretches because my hip flexors are very tight. I do some dead bugs to activate my core. I do some deep squats and some rotational exercises in the squat position because generally I do some sort of squat or squat like movement in most of my workouts. I do a downward dog to stretch out my calves, my hamstrings, and then I do it into a lunge position to really, again, stretch out and to open up my hips and my hip flexors. I do some rotational exercises in a lunge position as well. Those are the things that I personally do because they are the specific exercises I need to activate the right muscles and also to lengthen the muscles that tend to be quite tight. So for you, you want to think about what are the movements that are going to prime myself for the exercise I'm going to be doing. It could be things like some bodyweight squats, some bodyweight lunges. I love downward dogs to planks. I think those are a fantastic exercise. You can do light rows if you're going to do some upper body exercises. What are the movements you can do to increase your range of motion, to improve your performance during your workout, to activate some of the muscles? So for me, I do a lot of core activation, or some, not a lot. I should, I should be honest with you. I don't do a lot. I do some core activation in my warm up. Sometimes I also do glute activation because my glutes tend to be a little bit sleepy. So I might do some of that just to get my body primed, ready for the workout. It is not enough if you want to get the most out of your workout to just walk on the treadmill or to ride the bike to get your heart rate up. That's better than nothing. But you want to do the movements that are going to get your body ready for your strength workout. That also might include foam rolling. Foam rolling can be a bit time intensive, but if you can prioritize that and get there, 10, 15 minutes early, you can do some foam rolling on maybe your quads or your hamstrings or your IT band or your calves, whatever tends to be the tighter spots, the problem areas for you. It doesn't have to take a long time. Mine takes about 10 minutes. I used to not prioritize it because I wanted to just get the big workout in. But then I realized if my goal is longevity, then it makes sense to do my warm up properly. And if my goal is strength, it also makes sense to do less strength exercises in terms of like just burning lots of calories and getting the most out of my workout. So I now prioritize doing my mobility, my priming exercises for 10, sometimes 15 minutes prior to me starting my strength workout. And then when I start my strength workout, my first exercise, I'll do a warm up set of each one. So, for example, this morning, my first exercise was doing deficit reverse lunges. So, with my front foot on a little bit of an elevated platform so I can get better range of motion, deeper range of motion. I did the first set a bit lighter, and then I moved into the working set after that. All right, number 2 is to have a plan, And even if it's a bad plan, it's better than no plan because otherwise what you do is you kind of just go and you wander around, you do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You don't really get a good workout and you don't feel like you got a good workout in because you don't even know what you did. Or you just gravitate towards the elliptical trainer or the treadmill because you don't know what else to do at the gym. So have a plan. I find personally it's very motivating to have a plan so I know what I'm going to be doing so I can feel accomplished as well. For myself, I shared in that podcast a few episodes ago, I do full body workouts. You don't have to do full body workouts. Some people do upper body, lower body splits. I prefer full body to focus on movement patterns, and that works best for me because I work out 2 to 3 times a week. If I was working out 5 or 6 times a week, and I don't want to say never, but I will probably never do that, then I might do, if I actually did that, which I'm not going to do, I might do a bit of a different split. But because I work out 2 to 3 times a week, three is really the benchmark. Two, if I'm traveling or if it's a long weekend or I'm sick or that sort of thing. But 3 workouts, 2 to 3 workouts. And so full body for me works best. Now, when you have a plan, you are more intentional with your workouts. And that is so much better than just hoping for results and hoping it's going to be a good workout. So have a plan, be intentional with your workouts. And of course, if you have to adjust the plan, you can adjust the plan. For example, if I was doing, let's say, single leg squats and my knees were really achy that day for whatever reason, I might modify that. If I was going to do a lunge on the Smith machine and the Smith machine was being used, I would do a lunge with dumbbells, which is totally fine as well. If the lat pull down area was being used, I might do a lat pull down with another cable column. So you can modify if the equipment's unavailable, if your body needs to, needs rest, or if you need to change something up, but still start with a plan. Number 3 is to track your progress. Now, I did not do this for a long time. In fact, I didn't have a plan for a long time. I just came and did a full body workout, and I actually still got pretty strong because I kind of know what I'm doing and I had a bit of a plan in my head, I suppose. But things have really changed. I've leveled up my game since having a more specific plan and also tracking my progress. Because without tracking your progress, you have no idea how much weight you should be lifting. You're not going to remember every single exercise and every single rep and set you did. And how are you going to know when to improve and when to lift more or when to lift the same if you don't know? It's also really motivating to see yourself get stronger over time because you don't always see it in the way your clothes fit or the number on the scale or even your body comp. You might not notice that you're gaining a ton of muscle mass, but it's nice to see you get stronger by your ability to lift a heavier load. So what I do for myself is I just use the Notes app on my phone, and I used my Mac desktop computer or my laptop to make little tables, and then I have them in a Notes little app thing called Workouts. I think it's called the Gift of Health. I call that to Note. And I have all 3 workouts there. And then what I do is on the day of the workout, I just add one more column and I write down what I did. And that way I like it because it's more flexible. So if I change up the exercise altogether, I can just say that I did that. It has more room for notes. So if I want to just make a little comment, I can do that. And it's free, which is another thing too. So that's what I do. Some people like doing it on like a journal or a notebook. I used to do that, but it just gave me less flexibility to change the exercises if I need to. Because what I usually do is I'll think of a workout, I will create the workout in my head, but then when I actually do it, sometimes it needs some modification because it just doesn't flow as well as I thought it would when I created it in my head. I don't know if that's ever happened to you when you have this great idea in your head and then you go to execute it and you realize it doesn't actually work as well as you thought. So you need to revise a little bit. So that's what I do. And it's really, really, really helpful for me to have that motivation of seeing progress over time. And then also to know how much I can lift, because I'll tell you what I lifted last week, it still feels really hard this week. And if it still feels really hard, you're like, well, maybe it's too much. Like this morning, I was doing my deficit lunges, and the first warm up set was with 25 pounds, and that felt hard. But last week I did 45 pounds. So that kind of cued me in and say, yes, 25 feels hard, but I bet you can actually do 40, 45 pounds if you put it on and you really tried. Sure enough, I did. It was really, really hard, but I did it, and there we go. So it is important to track your progress. I track my sets, my reps, my weight, and then I also just write down any notes. For example, if I make a note to go up next time, or to really focus on my weight on my heel, or to have a narrower stance, that sort of thing. So number 1 is to warm up. Number 2, have a plan. Number 3, track your progress. Number 4 is to emphasize progressive overload. And this is what I did not do for so long because I didn't have a plan. I didn't track anything. And if you change up your workout too often, it is hard to do progressive overload. Progressive overload is a fancy name for simply meaning that you're going to lift heavier and you're going to challenge yourself more each time you train. It might not happen every week or, every few weeks, but consistently over time you are getting stronger. And if you want to get stronger and continue to get stronger, you need to lift heavier or you need to challenge yourself more. It could be things like adding a little bit of weight as long as you're doing it with proper form. It could be doing a little bit of an extra rep. Maybe you're doing 8 reps, and now you're going to do 10 reps or 10 reps to 12 reps. Sometimes it could be slowing down the tempo. Sometimes it's just changing up the exercise slightly to make it harder. For example, if you're doing a plank on your knees and they do a plank on your toes, that is a harder version of the exercise. So you're going to increase the load. So it's really important that we do the same workout for a bit of a longer length of time so that we can start to increase our load as the weeks go on, because that's how we get stronger. Not by doing the same thing, but by challenging ourselves and making it harder. Number 5, oh, this is a big one, is to be intentional with the exercise. Not just go through the motions, not just listen to all your favorite podcasts like this one or your favorite music and kind of zone out. I want you to be focused and mindful and present when you work out. Connect your mind to the muscle with that body awareness. So mentally focus on the muscles you're working. That's going to improve your form and also the effectiveness of the exercise. So this morning, when I was again doing those deficit lunges, I was really focusing on my buttock muscles and using my glutes to push myself up. Now, if I wasn't doing that, I know for one thing, the other leg or the muscles that are not supposed to be as working as hard, they would take over and they would assist more. But because I was really present and really focusing on firing the muscles that are supposed to be working, I was getting more muscle activation. You do not get stronger just by lifting heavier loads. You get stronger by having more muscle activation. And that comes a lot from your brain. Your brain and firing the muscle, getting that nervous system to recruit the correct muscles. So be intentional, slow it down, focus on the muscle contraction. You can use your mirrors for form checks. If you're working with us at Ascend, we're going to help you a lot with form and making sure you're doing things right, because that's what's going to get the most out of your workout. The time's going to pass anyway. That half hour, 45 minutes, 3 hours, however long you work out for, is going to pass. Get the most out of it by being here and focusing on what you are doing. Number 6, kind of similar, is to know the goal between each movement. What is the purpose of each exercise? And this could be helpful so that you are more, again, intentional with the exercise. I used to give workout programs. Well, first of all, my personal training programs used to be 1 hour long. And that was a long time to be with one person. And my workouts were very fast paced circuit format. And I almost got into the mindset of how can I entertain this person? I wasn't so focused on how can this person get the best workout. If that was, if I'd known then what I know now, I've done way less and I've been much more intentional. But I thought my value came from creating all these crazy exercises and these, fancy pants moves and lots of cardio, and people were getting their heart rate up and sweating a lot and all that stuff. But they weren't improving their strength as much as they could have if we were really, really focused and intentional on doing the correct movements for that person. So know the purpose behind each exercise. If it doesn't have a purpose, then don't have it in your program. Lots of exercises are just kind of a waste of time. So be intentional with the exercise you're doing. And think about, are you trying to build muscle? Are you trying to improve mobility? Are you trying to work on stabilization? For example, one of my exercises I did this morning is single leg squats. So I have I stand on a platform and I kind of do a squat down until my other leg touches the floor, then I come back up again. So it's like a single leg squat. There is definitely some muscle being built there, but the main focus of that movement is for stabilization, is to control the movement. Yes, it is definitely going to be some strength, some glute activation. My glutes were burning at the end of those, But the main focus of that movement was for stability of my leg, to work through a functional movement pattern, which is the squat, getting my hips, my knees, my ankles, my back, my core, everything working together, firing together in that unilateral, that single leg stance to work on stabilization. So, knowing the goal of what you're trying to work on helps with exercise selection. So, are you working on, strength, mobility, stabilization, etc., power for athletic performance? It helps you to design the workout, and then it also helps you to become more intentional with the exercise that you're doing. All right, two more here. Number 7 is some sort of recovery or cool down. Now, for me personally, I finish off with my finishers, which right now are my more physio type exercises. But if I'm not doing that, doing a bit of cardio afterwards, doing some mobility work afterwards, but then like after my workout throughout the day, I will do some more mobility. I will go for a walk. I will not strength train the same muscles the next day to give myself rest, because we don't get stronger when we work out. We get stronger when we recover from a workout. And working out is a stress on the body. We have to recover from it. So, gentle stretching, movement, walking, hydration, all those kind of things can be wonderful to do afterwards. And of course, yes, sleep, nutrition, all that's going to matter as well. I think my voice just cracked. I don't know if you heard that. All right, number 8 is consistency over perfection. Now, I have listened to so many podcasts lately on strength training and some really, really good ones. I learned so much. The more I learn, the more I realize I don't know, the more there is to learn, which is wonderful, I guess. And I am trying so hard on this podcast not to say anything in absolute terms, because my philosophy might change next year. I might hear some new information and be like, actually, a cool down sucks. Don't recover after your workout. That's terrible advice. I'm just joking. I don't think that will ever change. Oh, I think it will never change. But here's one that I heard over and over and over again repetitively in all of these podcasts, is the importance of consistency. You could have the best program in the world. You could be intentional. You could have the best plan. You can be tracking, but if you're not doing it, you're not going to get results. So be consistent. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you can't do your full workout, do half. If you don't have, usually do 3 sets of exercises and you only get to do one day, so be it. Get on with life, move on. For myself in the last couple of weeks, I actually had that little tinge of like, oh, I haven't worked out 3 times. I only worked out 2 times, feeling like I need to make up for it. And I realized that I can either push myself and do my 3rd workout, or I can and give my body what my body really needs, which was rest. And so consistency over perfection. The goal is not to be in the best shape of your life right now. The goal is to be in the best shape for your life for the long term. So consistency over perfection. I know this is easier said than done. And sometimes we let ourselves off the hook, because sometimes we say like, oh yeah, it's better than nothing. And we kind of like, we actually do let ourselves off the hook or off too easily. But you be honest with yourself. You know best. Consistency over perfection. Get her done. If you can commit to doing a strength workout twice a week, that is amazing. You don't have to do 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week, 6 times a week to get results. Twice a week is amazing, but be intentional while you're there. Don't just go through the motions. Have a plan, track your workouts, prime your body ahead of time, and really just do the best you can to be consistent. All right, my friends, I hope I actually did slow down there, because I forgot that I was planning and focusing on slowing down partway through the podcast here. So hopefully that intention held strong and you can listen to me without having to put myself on like half speed to actually listen. All right, my friends, that is it for today. Have a wonderful week and I'll talk to you next week.